another foldable, flippable phone is going to hit the market. And this time, it's from Vivo. Guys, not know Vivo is. Vivo is a sister company to Oppo. They released last year the Vivo Fold. And now they are getting into the flippable phone market, which is actually really dope. Because the Vivo Fold was considered, well, considered by them. Like, it was just really ironic to say here. By them, it was considered to be everything you ever wanted in a smartphone put in one smartphone, right? That was the whole Vivo Fold. Vivo Fold, everything you've ever asked for in a smartphone is there in a smartphone. So, the Flip, based on this initial picture, interests me a lot. Because the thing that people really liked about the Vivo Fold was the fact that it had a Zeiss lens on it. You guys not know Zeiss is one of the best manufacturers of glass of any photography, so any cameras. Usually they make strictly Sony cameras or Sony lenses, but they're an amazing company when it comes to creating lenses. If you get a Zeiss lens, a lot of times they're going to be in a ballpark range of $1,500, $2,000, depending on what lens you get. I got one last year, what was it, 35 to 55 for around like $1,200. But they're very expensive, okay? They make amazing glass. So when I saw Zeiss, and a lot of people saw Zeiss on a Vivo Fold, it interests people. It gets people excited, talking about it, right? Want to pick up the device. So now, the Vivo X Flip, the same concept applies as the Zeiss logo right here, with, of course, a 4-camera setup. Smaller screen than what we are expected to see out of Galaxy Z Flip 5. Smaller screen than what we see out of Oppo's version of their flippable phone. So, a little interesting, but let's learn more about it. So, there's no official confirmation of Vivo yet on whether the X Flip is a reality, let alone when we might see it appear. We have seen some posts on reliable Chinese tech tipsters called Digital Chat Station, who reported the Vivo X Flip SM8475 coming soon. Now, this is hardly a solid announcement, so it's possible the X Flip may be a little way off yet. To see what it might launch, we can only look at the previous foldable schedules. Here's what they released in China. The X Fold, April 2022. The X Fold Plus was September 2022. Isn't much to go off of. So let's look at prices. Most likely, my guess is this would probably be $800 to $900. I would guess they come in a price tag, just like kind of how Oppo does it, where it's a tad bit less than the Z Flip series, and it kind of gets that sweet spot of $900 to $1,100. That's usually what we see smartphones really go at. The the iPhone 14 Pro Max, $1,100. 14 Pro, $1,000. You know, we see the S23 Ultra, $1,100. Usually that's kind of the ballpark range of what the average consumer spends on a cell phone. $900 to $1,100, in that range. So that's probably what this will cost. What about the specs? Again, it's going to have an absolute gorgeous camera design. Probably going to have a Zeiss camera design, Zeiss lenses, which is going to be absolutely gorgeous. But the problem is, right, because unlike the Motorola Flip, Razer Flip, whatever, the Galaxy Z Flip 5, the Oppo Flip phone, the cameras on the Vivo phones are usually really big. They're huge. They're made by Zeiss, right? And they're very big cameras. So this is what interests me is, most likely we're going to see the out of the screen will be big, right? But it might be kind of what we see in the Z Flip 4. Because the lenses are so big on this phone, there isn't enough room for a big camera. I'm sorry, a big outside display for that phone. So we might see a very similar to what we see right here out of the brand new Vivo flip phone. Battery life will probably be very similar to the Oppo phone when it comes to the the Oppo Flip. I am dying right now. Find and Flip. My guess is this, right? It's going to be an exact copy of the Oppo Find and Flip. With a better camera setup on the outside, less of an outer display, but everything else will probably be almost exactly the same. It's not just because of sister companies that I'm thinking this or believing this. It's just because a lot of times, especially with these Chinese manufacturers, it's easier to kind of just copy and paste other, companies' ideas and kind of put it all together and put a little spin on it than really change up the ball game, right? Because there's no real reason to do that. I've said this many times. It's why we saw Huawei CEO come out and say, listen, these foldable phones, they're kind of getting stale because everyone does the same thing. Everyone creates the same product. You're not changing it up. You're not, making anything different. And because of that, you're kind of following the same routine of, okay, this is going to be exactly what, it's going to look exactly what it did before. It's going to look exactly like the old previous versions. Microsoft has changed up the ballgame a little bit, looks like, but they're creating their own marketplace / Play Store app that's dedicated, Microsoft app, dedicated to the Surface Duo 3. But other than that, we're going to see Google has their little game changer with their Tensor 2, Tensor 3 chip. Obviously, Galaxy Z Fold series, they're going to be the Galaxy Z Fold series. They're always the top dog no matter what. Oppo has come out with their creaseless display, amazing batteries, 4 years of support, you name it, right? That sets them aside with also a better price tag. If you're somebody else coming to this industry, you're going to have to give me something special. You can't tell me that your phone is going to be pretty much the same exact thing as the Oppo, Find and Flip. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me your phone is going to be very similar to the Z Fold 5. If your phone is very similar to Z Fold 5, why would I not just go buy a Google Pixel 4 when it comes out or an Oppo Find and 5G 2? Why would I just go buy those phones? Right? Because if you're telling me your phone will be very similar, you can't win in this industry. It's very stale at this point. The only way you win in this industry is if you come in with a crazy idea, crazy concept, or you can copy somebody else, but you have to put your own spin on it. So, give me a chance to see what ends up happening, guys. Tell me down below your thoughts, opinions. Peace.